Yeah, so I start a little bit early than the time. So if you're already in, say hi in the chat. So I know that there are people in the chat. And yeah, we'll wait a little bit so people who come late won't miss anything. And um, yeah, maybe I introduce myself a little bit. So I'm Chuck. I am a developer advocate working for Terminus DB. I have been a Pythonister for a few years. But since I like get involved in the Python community, I'm like super active and I love the community so much. Uh, and I think that now is a good time for me to do a little bit more because basically now I'm stuck at home. So I try to find something meaningful to do. So I think like lots of people are interested in learning Python. So maybe this would be helpful because I have been teaching people Python in my local meetups before, and I realized that there are a million ways of starting to learn Python. There are lots of reasons why Python come into your life or your career, and different people start at a different they use a different way to set up their environment. It's confusing, and um, I want to try to clear up a little bit of this concept. I'm still learning myself, but from what I've observed and from because I've used different OS before in my previous jobs, that I kind of get experience of installing Python on different machines and troubleshooting, and have more understanding of how this actually works. From I was just I started as a data scientist and I was using R before Python. So when I started Python, I basically just self taught myself. I learned like because my when I got my first data science job. Um, so before when I learned data science, I was using R. But when I started my first job, the whole team used Python. So Python is the main tool. So I learned it myself, and that's why there was a lot of mistake that I made. That's why when I try to teach people, I want to make sure that their setup is good from the start, so they don't have to go through the pain that I had. So that's why I dedicated today's episode to just get started, install things. And if you have questions, feel free to type in the chat. I hope I can answer your questions right away. If not, there is also the Q&A box in my Twitch channel that you can ask me anytime, or you can reach me through Twitter. So you can see my Twitter is in the screen at the moment in the middle. So you can also message me. My Twitter box is open. I hope everybody's nice, so I don't have to be restricted on who can message me. But so far, people who contact me are nice. They're people in the Python community, and I'm happy to help anybody who want to be involved in Python. So also, there's a link on the top, so you can grab this slide deck. Is actually it may not be publicly available, but okay, let me change the settings because I forgot to change it into public. So yes, this is what you will see, right? If you it's funny, I basically forgot to change the settings. So let's see. I think I need to go into edit it. Yep, it's fine. Just bear with me a few seconds. We'll start a little bit later. I think people, because it's Sunday, and people may wake up late. So yeah, let me yeah, make this public. Yeah, so you can grab the slide deck. All right. Yeah, it should be public now. So so yeah, I'm using slides.com. So far they have been doing serving me well. So I also joined a pay plan. But you can start for free. I started for free, but because I use it so much that yeah, I just start paying for them. But it's okay. So yeah, you can grab the slide deck. I would do this series of tutorial every Sunday at 1 p.m. I'm based in London, so I'm saying it in my time. This is the UK time. Now it's we are in British summer time. So and also my website is check.dev. You can also find all my works there. I would also upload I would put all my videos, my tutorials, and also sometimes I write blog posts that may interest you. You can also visit there to find some information that hopefully be useful. Also, I have a GitHub account, so that's a check thing. So, what is GitHub? I will explain at the end. Also, I would recommend everybody to have a GitHub account as well. So, yeah, I hope you would stay tuned. If you're watching this recording afterward, there's also the Twitch link that you can catch me every week live. So, the benefit of watching me live is like you can ask questions in the live chat. I'm monitoring the chat using my phone right now. I'm trying to have a better setup so I can monitor it in another computer, so I can just type the answer, or if I want to send a link I can do that. But right now I would try to monitor it and then answer right away. So okay, so I think that's all this introduction. So I think we'll just start. I think today's episode is gonna be a little bit shorter because I'm still afraid of my internet not being able to allow me to stream for a long time. So I could try to make it short, but ideally I want it to be around an hour long, so it won't burn people out, but it's also informative. But anyway, so first of all, if you are new to Python, you may have other program experience or you may have no program experience at all. It's fine. I try to make sure that everybody can start. Even if you're a complete beginner, you'll be like, I only got a computer for doing other work like your paperwork, or you get your computer to do other things. If you're creative, you may be using it to edit, your media, but or maybe you're just like, if you're a young person, maybe you just got your computer to play games. It's fine. Python is fun. I think learning Python also, is a good tool to learn how to code. So maybe in the future you want to make games yourself, you can do that. I tried making games when I was a teenager as well. Uh, yeah, so I was into games. So it's also that's why I'm interested in coding and programming. But that's another story about my life. I would maybe grab another time to talk about that. But yeah, so you may want to install Python. So there are millions of ways of doing it. Like you may have came across a lot of them when you do Googling. Um, yeah, or maybe you have, actually you have Python in your computer and you didn't even notice because a lot of actually tools and software, they may be built using Python. Or maybe some of their, the components like built with Python, and they would like to have a Python interpreter. So that's what I realized sometimes, like when I was downloading other stuff, then like actually I was like, I didn't install Python actively. Why do I have it in my computer? So it may be the case, or maybe somebody who, like, for example, if I get a computer from the company, then maybe somebody have already installed it before. So always check what Python you have, because if you have multiple versions of Python in your computer, it will confuse like you and your computer. Because how your computer realize what program you're trying to use is through using some like environment variable called path. So why when we type Python in our terminal, so you can see down there on my screen at the bottom next to my face, that is my terminal. So instead of like using your Windows, which is like a lot of things, like you can click, you can click buttons to tell your computer what to do. You can right click and then have more options. So that was like how we use computer in the old days. We have just like a command line tool. You just like type in your commands. Uh, Window like kind of this we call it graphical use like graphical user interface come in like I can't remember, but when I was a kid, it was in the late 90s. So my dad also was like interested in computer. He was a teacher, but he's also interested in computer. So we got a computer at home, and then like basically the first thing that I do is like I noticed he used this a command line, so you have to type in all the commands. So but Windows come really like a bit later. Um, So yeah, so instead of you can have the convenience of clicking different buttons to tell your computer what to do, you have to type in a command. So so yeah, I will tell you how to open it a bit later when we talk about that. But so yeah, actually you can use Python in your command line interface. So when you type Python, how do your computer know like what you're trying to tell it to do? Like, so basically what happened is that um, your computer will register this Python command to your to a program. That program will be the Python interpreter that we are going to install. So when you type Python, then your computer will it to to execute it, to run it, to do what you want to do. Um, but if you have multiple versions of Python, then it's confusing because what is this Python referring to? Is it the Python 2 that somebody installed before, or is it the Python 3 that you have just installed today? So yeah, so having multiple version of Python is a confusing thing. It may not be a bad thing. I sometimes you have to have multiple version of Python for different reasons, but yeah, to be able to like to know what Python on your computer, what your Python actually mean to your computer is important. So you know actually what you're doing. So your computer is doing what you expected, not doing something that you have no idea. Um, so yeah, I think so. That's why it's a really good idea to check whether you have a Python and where is installed, to know what your current Python environment is. This is a good skills that you find useful if even after you have installed Python, then you can always check that like what version you have, where your Python is. So it's knowledge is power. It's good to know. So oh, by the way, we are not using Python 2 because Python 2 has been I think there was a plan to stop supporting Python from I think from this year, but I haven't keeping up with the news. I think they may, there's some resistance, but the idea is that they will stop supporting it. Like stop supporting, I mean like they're not going to put like new patches, new updates. It's gonna be just like there as is, like because Python is an open source software. Basically, what it means is like people who work on Python, they're not like working in a company called Python. They are not paid to actively contribute to Python. Some of them may be like supported by other companies, so they can dedicate their time full time to do Python. But that's rare. Most of the people who contribute to Python is using their spare time. They may have another job, which is for the income, or maybe their employer is kind enough to let them spend a little bit of work hour to contribute to Python, but that's not their main job. So it's actually difficult for them to maintain so many things. I think it's reasonable, like because Python 3 has been out for 10 years now, so it's reasonable for everybody to move on to Python 3, which they just mainly focus on making Python 3 good and better, rather than spending a lot of energy to maintain something that is out of fashion. That's not not as good. Um, so yeah, so if I have two beasts in my streaming life at the moment. One is my computer, which I have ordered a new one, so it's fine. And the internet is not cooperating as well, so I have been chasing by two tigers. I'm so sorry about that. I hope this time is fine. Otherwise, I've got millions of small videos again, like Friday, which is horrible. So sorry about that. I was talking about opening a terminal. So I hope you have already done it for the Mac users. I hope you can hear me well when I was explaining it, but if you can't, I'm so sorry. You may have to Google it online. I'm not telling it the third time. Um, so yeah, this is the terminal that you would be able to open. So for Windows users, basically, yeah, you can look it up from your um, folder or something like. It's not called Finder. I forgot what it's called, but or like you just look it up, like you look up for any files, then usually it's sitting like at your, so if you have Python 3.6, then you have Python 3.6 under your C directory. So that's when it was installed, is installed for everybody. It should be sitting there. But if not, if the person who installed it choose to install as only for the particular user, then it should sit under the user folder, like the second option there. And or there are a more easy way to do it is to go to a command line. So again, like how to find it is a bit hidden, but you can usually go when you click on start, and then you just like look up for a program to use. Then you like type CMD or command, then it will just pop up and just use it. Go into it instead of typing which Python, you type where Python, or you can do this like the right hand side. You only need to use that right hand side thing when you have. Oh my God, this sounds. Now is my sound. Now my mic input is off for some reason. Okay, it's back on. Oh, because I forgot to play the background music because my headset is weird that it will turn off if there's no input. So maybe I should get a Yeti mic or something. Yeah, that's further. Anyway, I was talking about like so for the right hand side, this one, then you only need to use it when your Python is not in the path. So like I said before, if you set up the path correctly when you type in your command line, when you type Python, then your computer will know that you have to go from from these from to find the path of the Python program. But if when you install Python, if you forgot to do that, then when you type Python in your command line, then your computer don't have that path set up, so it doesn't know what you mean by Python. So then, well, then your Python is kind of hidden. So you have to do this like cd slash rs, and basically it's like, oh, find everything for me that is something with a YTHON, because the P could be capital or small letter, so that's why you do this funny stuff. But usually, if it's installed properly, then you can type word Python or like which Python in if you're using Mac. So let me try to demonstrate to you. So for me, if I type which Python, if you look at my terminal window down there, I hope you can see it all right. So you see that my Python is sitting at, so it's like I'm the user, so I'm checking, and then I have my Py environment, and it's sitting there. So if you type which Python and there's nothing, so this like it doesn't show your path, if it's empty, that means that you don't have Python. So if you type Python, it would do nothing for you. So if I type Python here, I would have something, right? So you see that it's now finding a Python for me, and then now it's yeah, I do have a Python 2.7 install. That's default. I didn't install it. That's what I said. Like I think I was running some other things, and it's installed Python 2.7 for me, which I've never used. So yeah, so that's why like it's good to check what Python you have. I also have a Python 3 somewhere, but that is for the future episode. I would tell you I would tell you um, yeah other things like environment control, Python environment control and all this stuff. But that's for future episodes. So yeah, today so like you first you check whether you have Python. So if you don't have Python, for example, if you have nothing here, like if you type which Python, there's nothing. Let me go back out and clear this stuff. So if you type which Python and there's nothing, that means that you don't have a yeah like that's the typo. So yeah, so if you have nothing, that means that you don't have Python, or if your computer actually didn't register this. So if you type where Python, if you're a Windows user, so the chances are that either you don't have it or it's hidden. You don't have the path. So you do the right hand side. If it still doesn't find anything, then the chances are you don't have a Python installed. So yeah, if you can't find it, trying everything, and yeah, if you're like a Unix user, like Mac or Linux, there which Python shows nothing, then basically, congratulations, today's episode is for you. So you don't have it, you have to install it, right? So, but if even if you have like it's also good to know, like I said, good to know what Python you have installed before and how Python is sitting in your computer, how is it doing stuff. So which is good. Or maybe you want to help your friend to install it, then it's good to know all this stuff as well. So you may already come across the official Python website, python.org, and they have the download page there. You can see all these different distribution of Python. Um, because maybe you want to learn Python and you have found it, but or maybe you have heard somebody talk about anaconda. So well, it's also another type of snake. But what I will explain a little bit later. But yeah, but they are related to Python, obviously. They're both snakes. Um, so yeah, but installing like Python and get it ready to use is not as straightforward because, like I said, a lot of programs they also use Python or maybe they install Python in the background, but it's not available for you to use it for coding. So so yeah, like that's why it's good to like go through this episode and check that you have it ready. So I would go through the Mac OS first because that's the OS that I'm using. I've been using it for years now, but at work I have occasionally need to use Windows, so I also know a little bit about Windows and all the pain you would come across, because Windows is always considered a bit weird in the open source world, but they're improving. So I hope your life will be easier if you're a Windows user. Um, so the first thing that if I got a new Mac or anything, the first thing I have to do is to get Xcode. So Mac is very nice for creatives. They have already a lot of application that's built in for doing a lot of creative stuff. But now it's getting more and more popular for people who are software developers and people who do coding. But still, if you want to make your machine available to do coding stuff, you need to have Xcode. And the easiest thing to do is to go to your terminal again and then type Xcode select install. So I would see if I can share it here with you. I already have it, so it may be something different from you. But if you do it, then yeah, now it's telling me that I'm already have it installed and there's updates that I could install. But if you do it for the first time ever, then you would be prompted with a a little window saying like, oh, we don't have Xcode. Do you want to install it? And you have to click like OK, and then maybe you have to log in if you are the administrator, because not everybody can do all this like more low level manipulation of your computer. So if you're the administrator, and then if then you use your login, then it should be fine, and it will install it for you. So it will take a while. I recommend you to do it together now. If you have questions, you can ask. I'm still monitoring the chat, uh, but yeah, uh, yeah, ask questions if you have any. Um, so the next thing, I will go for it. You can go back to check the slides afterwards. So next step you need is to get Homebrew. Homebrew is a package manager to yeah to actually this is a bit wrong. I prepared it like at 3 a.m. yesterday. This is a bit wrong. I can show you the right one in a bit. Yeah, actually it's here. Right. Okay, so yeah, this is like I skip one step. So like after that, you just have to install Homebrew, which is Package Manager in OS X. I'll update the slides afterwards. So to install Homebrew, you also have a magic command that you can type. So um, this is not this one. So yeah, this is the magic command that you type. So let me make it bigger for you. Yeah, I'll update the slides afterward and put it in. Yeah, I just realized that it's not there. So yeah, this one. So Homebrew is a package manager that is like, because Linux has a built-in package manager usually. So Ubuntu is apt-get. So what they do is like is kind of instead of going to a website to download stuff and then download a package of installer and then run it, this package manager just go to the to the registry and then found this application that you want to download and grab it for you, and also manage different what version you have, what you have installed, and all this stuff, which is a cool thing. Um, so yeah, Linux you already have one. For Mac OS, you have to get this homebrew thing. So it will come into the scene quite often if you're more into coding. So this homebrew is like actually is made with Ruby. So actually, if you have if you like if you have Mac, then you already like have Ruby. So it's using Ruby to build this homebrew thing. So that's why it's called Ruby. And then like this, and then basically it's going to GitHub and grab this homebrew for me and install it for me. So yeah, um, so this command you will find in the slides afterward. I will add it in. Otherwise, you can also find it from the link. And after that, you can do brew install, which is this manager will install Python 3 for you. So this is what you do. Remember the 3, otherwise, because the registry they have the Python 2 and Python 3. So the default is Python 2 because, well, I think when they set it up, there wasn't Python 3. So the default will be Python 2. So make sure you put a 3 there to install Python 3. So yeah, there's also the link that you find the information that I have got here. This is also a very nice website that go through a lot of the information that is useful. So yeah, this is done by PyLadies. So PyLadies is another it's a Python subcommunity that is more like gender minority focused, which is very nice. And Linux. So Linux is super easy because basically open source world love Linux because Linux is open source. So they are like go hands in hand very well. So the chances are you already have Python. But the question will be which Python version you have. So you may not have a Python 3 even, but if you type Python 3 version, then it will show the version for you. So what I recommended for this series of tutorial is to have a Python 3.6 or above. Python 3.9 is in development. Python 3.8 is new. Usually, in my opinion, the most stable one will be 3.6 and 3.7. Most of the open source library will be compatible to this too. So I would recommend getting this too, either one of them. So if you don't have one, then you can install it. So what you do is to do a sudo apt-get update. So this is for Ubuntu. So if you're using different versions of Linux, it may be different. I will also have the link available, so you can check for details. Or there is actually a very nice series of tutorials saying different versions of Linux. How do you do it? I will also put in the link maybe at the end or something. I would tidy up the slides a little bit. Like I said, I prepared it 3 a.m. yesterday, so it's not the best. And yeah, basically, yeah, I just the first thing I do waking up is to prepare for this live stream. So yeah, sorry about that. I would definitely improve next time. So yeah, so do it apt-get update. So update your package manager so it knows like if you don't update it, it may not know the newest version of Python what it is. We are not like you can have the newest version if you want, but like I said, recommended 3.6. So if you don't have, you can apt-get install 3.6. So yep, so this is what you do for Linux. And there's complete guide. Check it out. It's more detailed. Windows. So Windows, the best official site is like the official site do it very well of of having this installation package for Python on Windows. So that's all thanks to Steve. Steve is my friend. Yeah. So if you're watching it now or if you watch it in the future, please go to Steve's Twitter and say thank you to him. If you're a Windows user, because he make your life much easier. Uh, yeah, I met him in EuroPython because I was ranting about Windows 7, and then he talked to me afterwards and asked like, how can he help me? He's super nice. Please go and say thank you to him, and you can say that I sent you there. That would be funny. But yeah, just show him some respect. Yeah, he's working for Microsoft as well, so he know how to make Python works on Windows. Um, so yeah, and you can see that when you install it, so make sure that that actually is the well the red thing is not the most important. I want you to pay attention to the checkbox at the bottom of this screen cap. I just grabbed this picture from somewhere. I'll show the link afterwards. But make sure you check install it for all users. If it's the work computer, maybe it's not ideal, but if you could install for all users, then please install for all users. It will make it easier because you won't have different path for like different users. It won't be super messy. So if you're using it at home, then maybe just install it for everyone. And add the Python path. That's what I said. If you add the Python path in the future, if you go to your command line, type Python, then it will know what to talk about. You don't have to go through. Because sometimes when I teaching workshops and people, oh I can't like, but I have Python, but why I can't type Python? Because when they install, maybe they haven't checked it, and it doesn't work for them, and it's super difficult to find where your Python is, and you have to go there, double click, so it can register. Um, Please make your life easier. Make sure you check these two boxes at the bottom. And yeah, and then after that, also there's a little thing. It's called disable path length limit. So that's a funny thing about Windows. I don't know about the newest Windows 10. I'm not a Windows expert. I'm not even using Windows at the moment. You can ask Steve. You can ask him on Twitter. Tag him. But yeah, so there's this there's a window path link. So in default, I think for Windows OS system, that there's a limitation of how many yeah, so there is a limitation of how many character you can have for your path. But for Python, because you install a lot of libraries and stuff, so it could be it could explode very easily. So so if you disable the path limit, then it just make Python internet problem again. I will call the service provider again on Monday. I am changing the service provider soon, and yeah. So sorry about that. You would you have to bear with me like on and off. So before I have a new provider, hopefully they're better. So yeah, I was talking that so there is a complete guide and there's a very good installation guide done by DigitalOcean. The link for Windows 10 is here. They also have a good list of different Linux systems, so I would also include that maybe with the Linux people, so they can refer to for their Linux build. So yeah, and also like the tutorial that I found the best would be this one. But like if you have Windows 10, if you want to use PowerShell, then you can follow the DigitalOcean one. So there are a lot of links that's available. So please grab the slide deck. I will show this the link to the slide deck in the description. Um, so if you're catching up afterwards, which probably you are, and so yeah, please check it out. So Anaconda. Anaconda, you may have already heard about the name of Anaconda. So what it is. So Anaconda is a company. They are very open source friendly as well. They actually have a distribution of Python R, including more than 7,500 of packages designed for scientific programming. So it's super heavy. I think it needs more than 1 gigabyte to install it. So but the good thing about it is all in one. So it doesn't like it works. They have like Anaconda for different machine as well, so you don't have to do it yourself. You just install it and everything is ready. They also include some IDE that you could use. One of them is Spider. It's not my favorite, but if you're just starting, maybe you can start with something like that simple. Um, so yeah, they are the only downside is that they are a bit heavy. But if you want to do data analysis and machine learning, so a lot of the libraries, the packages that they include, you may need to install them in the future. So maybe it's a good choice that you have it everything ready already, like just download it in one go. But if you're not, you just want Python to be for fun. You just want to learn coding. You may want to write some silly games, or maybe you do some like web development. Maybe Anaconda is not for you. Um, but they're super nice because all these things I talk about, they're a company, but they have the free distribution, so it's for free. You can use it for free. Um, so their business model is that they would charge company if they want a license, that they would give them extra service, mainly for business. But for individual user like you and me, it's for free. So, and also all these software that they provided, a lot of them are open source, so they are giving it away for free as well. So yeah, make sure that if you come into some problem with some packages, don't be too mad at the people who maintain them, because they are also volunteers. They are already trying the best to make it work, best, but they need a lot of help and a lot of support. So if something doesn't work, usually there will be a good community online that answer your questions. Or if in the future, if you're good at coding, you can even help them to solve the bug or something. So yeah. Um, so this is coming close to the end of this tutorial. Thank God. I only got cut off once or twice. Well, my computer crashed and my internet got cut off twice. So I need to keep a record of all these like mishap in tutorials. But it will be improved soon. I promise you. You won't have to be like watching it like in pain. Um, so yeah. Now supposedly after you have installed Python, so you have to check whether it works, right? So Pikachu is back here, so you can check things. Um, so yeah, what you can do is to go to your terminal and try a little bit of simple Python programming. Next week I will go into details about all this Python, basic, that what you can do with Python. But now we just want to test it out. So go to your terminal or your CMD if you're using Windows, so it's a command line interface that you're using, or Anaconda terminal. So if you're using Anaconda, there should be, so after you install the package, there should be an application that they install called Anaconda terminal. So it is very similar to a terminal. It's good if you're using a Windows machine because you can use Python inside the Anaconda terminal. So what you can do is if you look at the digital terminal down there, then I would clear the screen again. So what you want to do is, because like I tell you, I have Python 2 and Python 3, so I'll go to Python 3, and now I'm in the 3.7.5. So you can see that's it's different. So before it's 2.7. So yeah. So make sure you type a 3 if you are not sure that whether you have Python 2 and 3 at the same time. And also double check which Python you're using at the top. Um, so yeah, and now you can see that there are 3 arrows. So this 3 arrows means that you are in the Python interpreter, kind of Python, I forgot how to call it, maybe Python console or something like. You're in that, and now you can write Python. And everything you type here will be interpreted by the Python interpreter, and it give you a result. So Python can do a lot of things, but the most basic thing you can do is to use Python like a calculator. So you can do like 1 plus 1, and then so Python interpreter will take this 1 plus 1 and then do the calculation and give you back 2. So you can also do like multiplication will be a star. So you can also do like a square. So there are lots of things you can do. Like the very basic thing is use Python as a calculator. So actually there's something you can try, but I would go through this in details in the next week's tutorial. That will be the Python's basic commands and Python basic things. So there's other things you can do is like not just a calculator. You can also ask Python to print out. So this is very common in programming that you can output stuff. So this is very useful when you debugging something. You want to like, oh, tell me what this is. For example, you can assign a variable. So x is 1, and then okay, tell me what is X. So print X, it will tell me 1. So so yeah, I'll cover all these next time. So this is a teaser for you. But yeah, so now you have a Python that is working, which is good. So if you have go through all this, this is your homework, right? So go through all this, have your Python ready, and next week then we can do stuff. We can start to learn Python properly, like learn all this stuff, what Python could do, how to write Python, and all this stuff. Extra tips if you're coming to hear this far. There are two other things I recommend you to get ready as well. One thing is to get a GitHub account because there will be a lot of resources on GitHub. You can also put your code on GitHub. So I would say that having a GitHub account is a very good idea. And also install Git. So Git is a version control system. So in a nutshell, what it does is like instead of if you for example make some changes to your code, but you're not sure whether these changes work, you want to keep the old version and a new version instead of saving it as something else and name it version 2 or like final, that's something underscore final. Then you actually Git help you to track what changes you made. So you can basically, if you just save the newest file. If you don't like it, you want to go back. You can Git allows you to go back. It also allows a lot of powerful stuff in coding. So just like making collaboration with people much easier. So it could be collaboration with your colleagues or collaboration with some people through the internet. You're working on the same project. So Git is the golden tool. So there's a link there. You can go through it and learn how to install Git. So if you're using Windows, Git for Windows is a good choice. If you're using Unix system, it's very straightforward. Just go through the link and go through the installation guide here. If you have a problem, again, ask me on the Q&A box below or on my Twitter. Also, get a get a coding IDE. So if you're using Anaconda, you already have Spider. I personally use Atom because I don't know, I just started using it and I like it. It's working fine for me most of the time. There are some little bugs because like it's open source, so there's some tiny bugs but I love using open source stuff because even if there's a bug, then you can see what's wrong and like see if you can fix it. So yeah. Other popular choices will be Sublime Text. So that one is popular. I used that before as well, briefly. It's kind of like a powerful notepad. It's good for coding. So all these IDE, the common thing would be like they have some extra function. Rather than your CodePad well, Microsoft Word provide different things, right? Like Microsoft Word or I don't know what you're using, like Google Docs or whatever. They provide like different extra options for you to make a nice looking document. So similar ideas. So for this coding IDE, they provide extra functions for you to write code easier. So instead of like you can change the font size and all these things because like coding doesn't care about this. So what you can do is like maybe change, how many spaces is equivalent to a tab, or do I just like automatically help you to delete all the white space at the end of your line? So you have all these like extra tools to help you code better, to make your code nicer. So they are all common. A lot of them are very they all have it. So it's not that much of a difference. It's more like um what you like using. So it's, for me, like all of them, I'm happy like you have any of them. It's just like maybe if your colleague's using PyCharm, you may want to use PyCharm just to be in line with them. It's easier to collaborate with them. Or VS Code is also good. They have a lot of powerful plugins as well that it will be useful in the future. So Atom is they also have plugins. It's open source. Everybody they can write their own plugin. Sublime Text is also cool. It's good. Is so any one of these, I'm happy if you use it. You can ask your colleagues or your friends like what they're using. You can use the same thing, or you can like read some articles online. For example, this one, Real Python, they have a really good guide that you can have a look. They will have detailed comparison, what is different, have a brief introduction of each one of them. Look through it, find the one that you like most. I don't have a strong opinion on it. I know there's always debate on which one is better. I don't want to force it in, onto somebody because everybody have different habits and choices. For me, atoms suits me fine. If don't have a preference, you can also use atoms. So when you go through the tutorials, you can see like you can copy exactly the same thing. Um, so yeah, this end up wrap up my tutorial. I will do a lot of editing to put all these pieces together. I don't like it. I like a good streaming experience. So really like my deep apology for that. And I wish that and this I hope I don't like making people frustrated, right? So I'm so sorry. I hope you when you catch up on this video, like with the one after the post production, it will be more smooth, and then you can get all the information. You will see me less ranting about the internet, but yeah, but I hope you learned something today. And so next week, like I said, I would go through the Python coding basic. So make sure you did your homework, install Python, make sure your Python works, and also how to open your Python. That's like you should be able to do it after this tutorial, right? If you have questions, again, ask. You can ask your. There's actually a very nice online community. If you Google, you have a lot of questions answered. I will cover more like problem solving maybe next week or maybe in the future. But usually, if you ask people in Python, they are very happy to answer. And there's also a Python Discord server that I just found. So if you are like a gamer, I'm just starting to be a gamer. I'm playing Animal Crossing, but if you're a gamer, you already know Discord. You can basically look for the Python server. It's a very big server that you definitely find someone who is happy to help you there. Just follow their rules and be nice to people. Um, yeah, but otherwise, I will see you next week, Sunday at 1. So if you're catching it up on YouTube, there's my Twitch um, link there. The link of this slide deck will be down in the description. Um, so yeah, also I want to advertise on my other program called Meet Pie. So every Wednesday, my friend Lace and I will be chatting about what's new in the Python community, what's new in the what Python library that we discover. So if you're interested in Python, I think it's good to like when you're having lunch, you're working from home anyway, well, just spend a little bit of time watching our program. It will be like around half an hour. It won't take up so many of your time, but so much of your time. But yeah, but you may get some interesting information there. And also we need your opinion about what you want to know. So we also, if you're watching Twitch, then you see that we have a banner down there that we are showing you the link to our Twitter account, so you can basically tag us, ask us question, tell suggestions. Just be nice to us. Don't be too mad at us, and don't be too mad at me about these technical difficulties. So yeah, thank you so much for sitting through this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I'll see you next week, and I promise next week the streaming will be no, I can't. I can't promise the streaming won't be cut off, but I hope that is better. But I promise in through time because next week will be Easter, so the computer, the new Mac that I order won't arrive next week, but it will improve in the future. I promise. I would keep renting to my service provider. um, so yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.